It is a mass poisoning of ourselves and each other. And I don't think that that is limited to the physical products. I feel like that is within a lot of the media and the way that, like, the social expectations of things. I actually believe in something. And God is everywhere. God isn't a religion. We have this hope. We have hope for this um, change, this evolution to our society, this acceptance of everybody. We do not have the drive to force it. Like, no. You are our government, But yeah, the fight is gonna happen. I don't understand the outcome. I don't know the outcome.
Okay, podcast episode 1.
Uh,
So, my name is Adib, cameraman for this podcast. No name right now, but got my good friend Rashawn here.
it's good.
He
Rashawn
is.
BTP.
So, we are going to be discussing matters of the world, and this could range from a number of different topics. So, I'll begin with the question. So what are some of the problems that you see in the world?
I feel that there is too much corruption accepted for the amount of uh, clear obstructions that are observed. Like, we have too much proof to just be sitting by for certain things and let certain things happen.
Okay.
A lot of folks try to argue against or play devil's advocate. No, it might not be. No. What if we just stop supporting them until they specifically say that they don't?
I remember talking to you a couple of weeks ago, and you said, like, one of the problems with people is that they don't. Well, one of the things you would have people do is you would have them examine their beliefs, their belief system, or something like that. Do you remember?
Folks should observe and study, like, each of the belief systems and find the connecting points, and also like examine what is it exactly that you believe. Like, just saying I agree with what everybody else believes is not the same as, like, I actually believe in something. And so keeping the concept of God, or however people are viewing the originator of things. I'm not looking at God going, how does Adib view God? It's for me to get my image. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So it's just examining, like, well, okay, something that is omnipotent, that is all-knowing, what then, how does that being connect with me? And how am I supposed to connect with that being based on what I feel and what I've learned?
What do you think of religions then?
Like, as a whole, it is a pathway, a guiding point or guiding routes for people. I don't think that being a fanatic or an eccentric in any of those paths is going to, when it leads to dismissing other people who are just on different paths or who take different turns off of with that path in mind. I mean, some folks, they don't relinquish a religion. They're just like, well, no, I am studying this right now, or I am trying to understand more of this. And so then some folks are shunned because of that. But I feel like outside of those consequences of being a fanatic, religion itself is, like, important. It is for people to find a way to God, and then you define it.
So you don't believe that religion would ever get in the way of experiencing God?
I think, I mean, again, I think that's more like the fanatic of it, the being too much, exaggerating one line just to say that you believe. Again, it's like saying I believe because somebody else believes. And so it's, if my religion tells me not to drink, and that is something where I'm not contesting in any way, shape, or form, then I'm not going to spend my day judging everybody who drinks. Um, but at the same time, it's like I can know when somebody's messed up off alcohol and, avoid that person if need be, or approach that person because I'm security.
Do you believe that without religion, if someone was hopped up on, if someone was on drugs or alcoholic, do you think they would be able to experience God or have a way of experiencing God or knowing that it was God that they were experiencing?
Well, yeah. I mean, I don't think that exactly the state of drinking alcohol or smoking weed or something is going to take your faith away. I don't think that, like somebody who is overly intoxicated, a drunken jolly person, they could just be as capable as if they weren't. But if somebody is obviously out of their mind because they are intoxicated on something, then those things can lead us away from doing good things, which ultimately, like the math of the scripture, you're led away from doing the good things, then you're being led away from God. So,
Say someone has never abided by any religion. Uh, do you think they would be able to experience God?
oh yeah, I mean, it's again, God is everywhere. God isn't religion. There's a path. There are paths, right? And so like folks, based on what situation, what system that you're studying, the fanatics will then say that there is a specific being that is the only way to the grand being, and it's like, well, like there's a stylistic, like there's the good style, there's bad style, there's the I don't care style, and I mean, I feel like those have different endings. But, it's like how we choose to live our life, as long as we are doing good, again, like our spirit, our soul is still there and intact. It's just about wanting good for it, wanting it to do better than evil.
What wide-ranging good does what big larger purpose does religion serve as for humanity?
It allows, I mean, outside of all of the modern corruption, or even the past corruption, it allows for us to have a community that is based on reflecting on God. Um, when we start going beyond that, instead of just looking at people in these historical texts as like just people and examples of what to do, what not to do, what could be done, what isn't frowned upon by God, what is frowned upon by God, like those particular things are managed, they're described. I don't think that there's like the end all be all is blessing or sin. Like like there are scales mentioned, whether you're looking at the very least the Quran and Egyptian references and resources. There, the concept of there being a scale for the soul. Your heart is lighter than a feather, then you go up to heaven. That tells me that there are calculations that are taking place. And so, like, some people have worldly attachments where they cannot go without financial-based things. They can't go without status. They can't go without power and all those things. And I feel like those, whether we're talking about different levels of existence, whether we're talking about having to reincarnate and the status of that phase of reincarnation, Like, I feel like all of our decisions play into that. So when we get to a certain point where we're to find God without any resources or references, where people are may have to do some harm in order to do some good. So it's not um, you don't look at it all as, oh, that person is a good person because I saw them I've only seen them do good, or that person is a bad person. Like that's not for me to state. You know what I mean? But there are guiding points where it's like, well, if I avoid doing these good things, and I try to do these bad things, or I am attempting to receive either the selfish effects or outcomes, um, then in the midst of it, I'll end up, or the people engaging in that, they lose track of what is good and what is bad. Maybe I have to push a kid out the way in order to save him from being hit by a car or something like that. Maybe they scraped their knee, but the intention is what is the most vital part, and then it's, well, how much do you understand? Because you might have had the intention to push him out of the way of a car, and you pushed him into another car.
What do you think the purpose of humanity is, or humans?
The purpose of humans. I think that the purpose is literally us being souls and bodies. I think that it is no more and no less than the simple fact that, we had to experience like some sort of existence, and we have to experience some sort of end in order for like the rest of the stuff to really make sense. But I feel like it's far more about the rest of the stuff than it is about the the afterlife, the reincarnation, what you do with the knowledge of your life, right? So like there are people who have an ideal heaven. There are some people who have an ideal reincarnation. Some people have something that is somewhere in the middle of both of those. And so it's like if we made like structures, physical things that are on Earth for other people to see, our past existence. And like for me, it's more like a digital artistic presence. So it's like I all of the artistic entertainment of my world, the primary influences that I received, I want to be able to construct and contribute to. But that's more for me to be able to pass along me to other people who aren't me. Outside of that, I mean, it's just like, just thinking about it from, if the purpose was the same from the day one when we were just cave people, or original Africans, or however the initial folk were, it was, you wake up, you grow up, you eat, you go to sleep, you go to the bathroom or the bush, you get busy, and then you just do that in a loop. And so in the middle of that is kind of all of those things listed is just kind of like life. And so then it's like the meaning of life is kind of like, well, what did you do with your day? And what did you do with that week and that year and so on? And so, like, I don't think that it's like I don't think life is meaningless. I think that is its true purpose. It is just for us to be able to have something to operate. So it's like, maybe we were like in Soul, where you got the Pixar movie, where you got like the before world. It's like you got the afterlife and you got the before life, where all the kids are the kid souls are growing up and developing personalities to send into the world. Like, I feel like there are those things going on, and then you got somebody who maybe they're always doing backflips, but they don't know what you call it. They don't know, how to physically make a human body do that, any of those things. But that soul really loves to backflip, you know. Um, and so it's like, well, life is for that soul to experience those flips. So then it's like, oh, well, now I know front flips too, and side flips, and and so now we're seeing our evolution from the perspective of the soul and not the body. Like, life is an evolutionary state for the soul.
Okay. So where do you see us as humanity? Where do you think humanity is going?
So, we have a few different issues. Yes, we got like war and all of those things, which is like the baseline issues of things that are repeatable. But then you have like you have the people who are pro depopulation. You have the people who are pro just not having a free like education system. Like those things alone. Like I mean, when we start talking about the food industries and different corporations that include different types of meat depending on the corporation. It's like it is a mass poisoning of ourselves and each other, and I don't think that is limited to the physical products. I feel like that is within a lot of the media and the way that like the social expectations of things. My projections on where it goes from here, from knowing that.
Yeah,
okay.
with all the knowledge that you, everything you know about what's going on, all the evil and all the good that we're doing. What do you think? What do you think? Well, let's say with all the good, what do you think we're trying to do with ourselves?
So what I think we're trying to do, like the answer is kind of the same either way. So I'll say it like this.
With the good, the answer is the same.
The answer is kind of the same either way. So I'll put it in this manner. So we are aware of the problems to a majority extent. I mean, it's not everybody has every single brand of knowledge, but everybody knows at least one thing that's messed up about the governing system. Then we have this hope. We have hope for this change, this evolution to our society, this acceptance of everybody. We do not have the drive to force it. Like, no. You are the American government, so you will, none of these people should be getting harmed if they ain't doing these particular harmful things. And on the other end, it's like the people who are harming any innocent should be punished for it immediately. Like, it doesn't mean death sentence. It doesn't always mean prison, but depending on the situation, at least prison, for officials who don't get it. But I feel like the way that we are leaning, the way that we operate, not just what we are hoping for, but the way that we're operating, it's all of the problems are going to come to a head over. I can't guarantee that it will be soon because all this stuff is new. It's unprecedented, right? So you're about to have either the first woman president, or you're about to have the first criminal president, and they're actively convicted of the crime, and is still about to be the president if the woman president who has locked up people for not being criminals. You know what I mean? So it's like either way, they're going to show or be pressed to show the not necessarily the face of the organization that is causing all the issues, but like all of these goals are going to end up being on rewind run at some point, where they're going to have to keep mentioning depopulation and keep mentioning vaccination and mandates and martial law and all those things, to where it's like it has to become unacceptable to the people, to where they're marching not just for not just to talk, but they're marching and where it's like, no, shit's gonna get fucked up if we don't, if stuff doesn't change. Um, and if we have to fight here, then there won't be backing down. You just won't have an America. We'll live our lives until we want to fuck some shit up. Which is, basically cowboy land. But yeah, you have so many secrets within the governing organization that I have no idea how long they would spread it out. Like, what else can they milk out of this waiting scenario? But they're losing people's hope in them, which makes there be a time crunch in, if you're going to do your dastardly finale, you gotta, you have to do it when nobody's paying attention. And since everybody's paying attention, and it's not gonna just stop unless they, you put Kendrick Lamar in the Super Bowl, you talk about rap battles all day long, like all these things where Kendrick Lamar called out the industry and all of the he didn't call specific weirdo stuff, other than the fact that he connected it to him saying Drake is pedophile. So it's like, if those two things are the primary things that won the battle, as far as from the observers of the rap battle, and he's calling out the industry, calling out the pedophile, saying all this, there's a bunch of weird stuff going on in here, multiple songs. And then this person is still highlighted as the icon of the Super Bowl, but we haven't heard any further regards of the pedophile calls, the industry problematic calls. Like, we're just kind of sweeping it under the rug. So that can just keep happening as long as we allow it to happen. Not saying like I'm gonna watch Kendrick Lamar's performance in the Super Bowl, but next year it's gonna be something closer to Lady Gaga, until it's something closer to the demon monster they want in the middle of the field. Yeah. And so then they do it in their little Vegas domes and stuff. So it's not happening. It's just, I don't feel like they have whatever their particular ancient ritual is, their archaic expectation of, now some folks in 200 BC said that in 3,000 years this or that is going to happen. I don't have any like directs on that, and how that affects time, how that affects the time in which they corrupt our world. But I believe that it's going to be even more corruption, to where we're like, this is so unacceptable that I'm gonna fight for it. And then in fighting for it, there's so much loss that the American government starts to look at itself as its own problem. But, again, who then becomes the leader, and how much of it ends up getting turned in a loop anyways. Now, but I do think that there will be a revolutionary battle of this shit is fucked up, so let's fight.
Oh. So the end result, so you see us just warring, that there's going to be an end battle, and you don't know who will win the end battle, is what you're saying.
Essentially, it's like, yeah, because at this point in time, like, I'm just a regular guy. I have no criminal background. I have no expectations of myself going out and doing anything violent or whatever. However, whatever has to happen throughout my day in order to protect me and my family is just what has to happen. And at the end of the day, that makes the terms the same as cowboy terms. If I brought out my revolver and, or whatever gun, and I'm just out and about, I'm shopping at the mall, I'm getting some frozen yogurt, I'm whatever, and then somebody starts threatening me, knife, gun, want to put their hands on me or whatever, then like at the end of the day, because there are so many corruptions within the system, like my only true defense for myself is to protect myself in this scenario. This person is threatening my life and nobody is really going to come until I'm dying or dead. But in my mind, it's like I believe in the grab glove system, where it's just like, well, let's just fight then, and then once we fight, we leave it alone. But folks like to stomp people out and do all the extra stuff and whatever, and so I'm like, well, if it's at this point, I'm not saying that unless we're meeting in the ring. So outside of that, it's just like, well, if you want to go to war, then that is the state of the world. It advancing beyond this, and it's just all of the places is filled with cowboys, and we're waiting for the sheriff. But if we can't unite, then it's just us fighting each other until somebody comes to round all of us up or lay all of us down or drop something on us. And what do you do then? I mean, what do you do when somebody, is blowing shit up? But still, at the very least, if there's a way to get a heads up and, a 5-minute head start from the exploding grounds, then that would be a lot better than us sitting here fighting each other until somebody's like, well, I got all of them in one sitting. But yeah, the fight is gonna happen. I don't understand the outcome. I don't know the outcome.
You said that. Oh yeah, you're talking about the kids wanting to be cool.
Oh,
and the fact that exists.
Yeah, I mean, just essentially, like, within the world of, there are people within different organizations, and the LGBTQ organization is not separate from this, but people who are inserted in order to influence a particular manner of thinking about something or believing something. And so if you have enough people who just believe that this is the cool way to think about it or whatever, and then that person who is now identifying in the cool manner, their father then shows up to a school and they're in a dress and have some lipstick on or whatever, and now that kid who felt it was cool for anybody else to be doing it now feels embarrassed that their father is doing it. Well, then there's something that is there's a clear missing point. There's a clear missing piece.
Are you hungry?
Like the embarrassment that you feel for somebody who you see as your representative partaking in something that you particularly identify, that would suggest that you don't really identify with it. And if you don't really identify with it, but you're claiming to, especially out of the idealism that it is cool or that it is trending right now, then when we stop putting pressure on the construct of what is good and bad for our life, because there are just certain decisions that later on in life we don't want to talk about those decisions, and we shouldn't have to be put in a situation to have to talk about those decisions because we made some decisions without fully knowing about something. So I would suggest that there's some subliminal messages, some mental control and influence. But it's like everybody relying on the cool and on the trending and on what's hot right now is what is going to lead to more and more people being conflicted and lost, because you got folks that identify as something that aren't saying that they do, and you got folks that don't identify as something that are saying that they do. You got folks that currently identify as that thing, but they're saying that they don't really feel that way. And so all of those pieces start to create conflicts within social structures and whatever, because it's again about you believing what I believe. And so it's not religion at all, and still the same issue amongst people.
Why do you believe that there is so much corruption?
Why do I believe that there is somebody? Oh, I mean, it's greedy folks, royal families, people who found that they could control with religion. It is the greed of others, but ultimately the sins of others, because some folks are um, gluttons in the sense that, in the sense of the seven sins, but gluttons in the sense that they want to hoard all of the resource, even if they can't use it, even if it doesn't benefit anybody else, for them to hold the resource, even if it would benefit them more if everybody had the resource and just kept utilizing some resource to get this vital material from this individual. Instead, it is, I will just keep it from you and I'll hold it for myself. Then there's the pride of, well, if the legacy falls on me, then I will be the representative for all of the corruption or the past manipulation that was going on. It's like, if you find out about my treason, or if you find out about everybody else's treason on my watch, then that's like extra. That's the grandest treason there is, because I'm the only one still existing left, of this legacy. And the same for each level of sin, where it's just like, some folks, literally, it's just lust. They just want stage force. They want folks to do exactly what they tell them to do, exactly how they tell them to do it. They don't want artists. They want, it's not even about like models, but it's like they want props. With little action figures that you just, and then when you feel like they're asking for too much money, or you didn't get enough bang for your buck in your mind, now you got power, so the pride is there, the lust is there. So if you're willing to use gluttony, pride, and lust in order to hold your power, how far do those actions end up taking you? I feel like all of the general spiritual and religious guidelines have a base calculable point. So it's not just, well, don't do sin because God thinks it's bad, but it's like, well, there's a reason why God would think it's bad, or why it would be expressed to be bad in God's eyes, as we can see it based in our day-to-day life. If I burn this right here, then well, yeah, maybe my goal was to have a doorway, but now my house is on fire, or I just damaged my property, and because I'm renting this spot, then it's not just that, because that could be, well, that's the negative of it, but it's not so bad because it's my place and I wanted that to happen. But this is about the spot that I'm renting, so now I'm going to have to pay for all the damage that I did as well. So if this is a body that I'm renting, it's like, just with the concept of reincarnation being a alternative, a spiritual, religious, listed, historically considered alternative to the afterlife, then you start to think, well, what if the concept is that I'm borrowing this body from the starter me, whatever, the me that could have been anything in the branch of things, where I started making turns and met certain people and whatever. It's like, that's a whole multiverse, omniverse in itself. And so it's like, well, I'm damaging this branch because, these decisions that I made, I got blackout drunk this other day while I'm driving, and now I'm in a car accident. I don't have the vehicle for this branch that I was, or this turn down this path that I was making. So now I'm just this other guy within my timeline until I can get right back on path. And so I think all those things are important to consider. And in no particular way is it you have to have a religion. In no particular way is that you have to believe that the government is supposed to be bad. It's just, these are things that are, and so because we consider them and we have logs, records, resources for these situations, then there are ways to calculate what to do next.
Why would we need a kind of a pathway to, you know, experience God if we're just souls just trying to have an experience?
Well, because by the nature of it, other souls are a part of the experience. Like, my biggest issue with like day-to-day life is that, like, I mean, when I just think about it from the perspective of being a human, like one individual person, I'm like, there's a lot of people in my way all day. I mean, everywhere I go, there's going to be traffic, there's going to be somebody in line, I don't want to be in line, somebody walking, crossing the street right when I'm trying to drive past that stoplight, whatever, you know. So within all of those scenarios, there are, I mean, I don't think that all of it is like a calculating whether or not you're going to heaven or hell. You know, it's like, oh, you thought about, you know, tripping I do with the crutches. You know what I mean? It's like, well, I thought about it. I thought it would be funny, but I didn't do it because it wouldn't have been funny if I actually did it. Like that is the neither here nor there of it. It's just, well, that's the type of guy he is. Like, you know, you want to know what you was thinking? You know, May 16th, 1992. You know, it's like that. That is what all of the supernatural concept of God and the angels is for in my mind. It's like, you know, well, when we get to that, like, you know, like, no, because there's some beats that I was making and I was in my head when I was a little kid in Claremont School. I can't get them back. I can't get some lyrics back. I can't get some images or even some whole animated fight scenes. I can't get them back from in here. Like, I mean, I can try. I can, you know, I held on to some notes that I made when I was that young and whatnot, but it's like those pieces may be important to the developmental road of your soul later, and reviewing your life, or, you know, revising it, or whatever the case may be for what the afterlife terms are for that soul.
But to develop for what?
To develop for, I mean, again, you have new souls. It's about eventually some situation. I mean, your soul could disappear for what you feel like is 1 billion years, and whether you came back a day later or 500 years later, there's going to be somebody who could utilize running into your soul. And the only way for souls to surefire do that, where they are running into a specific timeline of a specific soul that is selected out of that multiverse of what you could have been, like, that this is the only place for us to decisively have that being. Because if we run out of, like, if we're in heaven and we're having the same conversation and I run out of information, then if I can use like the Adam Sandler movie the click remote, and just pause some shit real quick and be like, I'm gonna be right back in this moment with that answer that I currently do not have. And if I can, then, you know, it's like the reality of things, the organic flow of things is altered. I mean,
sorry, but you ultimately believe that the whole system of everything is just to have fun.
I mean, I think the point of existing is to exist. I think that we are supposed to learn the atom, the names of all the things. I think we're supposed to be able to tell what's good and bad. I think we're supposed to be able to clearly have fun. I feel like fun as a concept that is, I don't know of a time where fun was established as, like, you know, like this new thing, fun, we're gonna have it. Like, you know, I don't think that's like in any documents, and we can see animals have fun. You know what I mean? So it's like existence without all of the corruption is fun. I mean, you know, like you go and you do that list of things. You wake up, you eat, you go and talk to folks, you do your thing, you know, and then at the end of that, it's like the things you did define who you are. But if we can't pass the basic test of just like be majority good. You know what I mean? It's like, even if it's like, I had $1 billion, but I didn't donate 999 million to the charities, so I'm not a good person. Like, well, no, that's not necessarily true. Now, maybe that has some extenuating circumstances, in the sense of like, you could have gave more, so you're gonna go back and relive your last month and write a will that says that your money is gonna go to these charities or whatever. I mean, it's like, to incorporate the supernatural into it. Outside of that, it's just like, well, what you did goes on your record, and what you're up for and not up for goes on, the definition of who you are as a soul, as a being, as a, I feel like the people of here that then reach the afterlife and meet each other as souls are still going to see themselves as the people of there, and it's like, you got the past people, you got the future people, but when the soul of a bear shows up, I don't feel like we're going to be like, oh, well, it's a new type of person that we got. You're like, no, that's a bear. And for us to be able to understand that, because it's like, when you're just dealing with predator animals, they stalk, they plan, they trap, they have tactics, they think. So who's to say that the being within there doesn't have a communicative soul? Now, whether that soul tells you to do good or bad, who knows? It's an animal. But for us to be able to understand that, then we understand that we're dealing with a different layer of spirit. Like, the religion is just the classes for understanding spiritual things.
So, do you believe ultimately that the all that is just wants to have experiences?
I feel like that's what we were placed here initially for, and with all of the negativity that arises, there are some expected actions. There are some actions based in conflict that I feel like are meant to be, are based in confusion, that are meant to be leave people conflicted. Should I do this? Should I not do this? Well, what's better for this? What's not better for that? And some of those things, have actual end actions and outcomes, and some of those things have actual actions and outcomes, and then some of those things is just kind of like a wait and see. Like, well, we did nothing, and so then this occurred, or we did nothing, and then somebody else felt that nobody was doing anything, so they stepped up and did this, and so now we revel in this person's legacy. But that is a part of the collective existence of humanity, human souls being sent to Earth. And it's like, we may have some buried future or coexisting alternative planet humans that are building their own history and dealing with their own conflicts, or not facing any of those things because they never had those issues. And whether or not, like, if they showed up with the same capabilities as us, the same form as us, then they're just people. But I can't judge them as a bad person because all they did was, kick a rock around on low gravity. It sounds like it could be time consuming and fun, but at the same time, who's to know what their perspective on life is because of that? The same concept as like Walt Whitman watching the ants and staying out camping and learning how to build a cabin. He didn't need to do any of that stuff. None of that stuff made him it may have made him a better human, but it didn't make him a more good human. He was neither here nor there except what he was able to give back from what he learned. And so if I'm able to process what I learned in this life and then like revise it, condense it, actually turn it into like a part of my definitive being, where it's I can snap it into existence and it is there and it's not conflicting. You know, it's like I feel like our limitations in, like, we can imagine all of these types of magics that can occur, but we can't physically make them happen, nor is there anything that on the planet that can physically make those things happen. However, we're saying that we can either build those things, those structures, or we're saying that these concepts have been written for years, millennia. Whether it's dragons or vampires, whether it's the concept of a magic man who can literally make things appear, or a prophet who can turn a staff into a snake with the help of God. You know, so it's like if everybody, there was no reason to limit the help of God to people as far as on a supernatural scale, then it's just nature evolved. And so I feel like I feel like we're still on training wheels. Like, this whole existence is a training program. Real, not simulation, but a training program. Like, you're in boot camp and also playing an improv role. And so it's, you know, if the situation calls for you being dead, then here in this scene you're dead. But who am I to say, you know, how many times you've experienced the time between this month and from the time of your death? You know what I mean? It's like, oh well, this is just this is your lot in life. Is that throughout 2024, at the end of 2024, that's the end. And, you know, and now you just play through 2024 over and over again. Maybe that's somebody's sole purpose, or sole fated next point. But then I feel like it's not about purpose, it's about points. Like, you know, well, what's the point of this one? Well, you make the point here. And so then I would assume that the next one you got to make the point again. But you would have new information, new resources to make that point with. And so you're at this point, but you're still a deep. You're still whatever your soul recognizes your soul as, until it feels like, however the aesthetic is for souls, chooses to shift until it feels like shifting. Now it looks different, it identifies different, it correlates with the rest of the world different, and, you know, it's like if you just have enough factors or fractions of, we're talking about like a whole or the original. A little bit. Everybody says that, or not, there's a group of folks who have this belief that we're all God. We're all just pieces of God, experiencing God from the perspective of this God or that God. And I'm like, well, look. I feel like it's more like sharing a fractal of power. And you're like, this same fractal of power that I shared with this human is in every other human. And so if you want to reach the source, then you have to access that fractal of power and expand on it. And so ways to do that is to study, or to observe the natural world, or to go within oneself and see, you know, the good that you want to achieve, or just I want to vibrate at a higher level. I hear folks saying that all the time. You gotta meditate, and you gotta find that frequency within your own self. And it's like, hey, if that ends up in a more positive reception of how people receive you, then spiritually you progress, spiritually you evolved yourself. I do think the point is to evolve yourself, but it's like, that means a lot of different things to a lot of different people. And so, you know, some people get smaller when they evolve. Some people, you know, they thin out, they get bulky, they get fat, they get whatever, but that's the evolution, and that's, you know, it's actually maybe their comfort state, but it won't look the same for everybody, and that in itself is just existence. I was like, I don't think we were here to fight, and I don't think that God was like, yeah, and I really want you to go be in Afghanistan. No, like it's just that is just what's bound to happen within this time that I am sending this soul to, said God in my mind. So with that, I'm like, well, then from there, we have to be, and we have to be like a good collective, because I mean, no matter how many humans there are, it's just humans, you know, and so we're only able to precisely communicate with each other. So now it's about making sure that those communications and those interactions count. Or maybe I just want to be a shadow, but I still have to, like, maybe I just always put up all the chairs, or I go get the groceries, or I sent out all the flyers, or I made the flyers, but nobody ever saw me, but I did the work. The work of good, and or I feel like in the church term, it's just the good work. So once you do the good work, you then go about your life, because, like, God created things that could be good, that were intended to be good, that have the essence of good, and He sent it to be. I don't really see like it as a bigger thing to define as far as the purpose.
Like that. So
I don't usually plug, so I'm finding a little route to plug in some stuff.
Yeah, hopefully this turns out okay.
I mean,
the video quality. Hopefully everyone's able to hear what we're saying.
I'm Rashawn BTP. I make art, like comics, illustrations, raps. I make some of the beats, edit the videos sometimes. Did I say books? Books, wrote books, lyric books. The images could go on clothes and stuff, and a bunch of other stuff I can't tell y'all about, but we've been making Rashawn BTP, Versetile, The Prodigy, Versetile. So you go to Versetile, spelt like that, versatilejournal.wordpress.com. You'll find past posts, just a whole collection of the work. Go to the pages section, and you'll find a collection of the music and the different sectors of work. I'll be updating that soon, but I'm waiting for the big work. So I thank y'all for enjoying the first episode.
There you have it, guys. Until next time. So see ya.